So, in my continuing series of slow takes, I want to talk about one trend that I see, and that is AI is pushing responsibility and tasks downstream. What does that even mean? It's that you can quickly prototype an app, review and organize data, but you're not doing any of the hard work of reviewing the code, verifying the data numbers, double checking the vague legalese, etc., etc. Now, nobody wants to go and double check their homework. And why these tools are getting better and better, they're far from perfect. So back when I actually had teams and employees, one of my biggest gripes was people would just quickly review code or tasks or financials and just hand it down to the next person and not really dig deep into the data. I've never really been a detail-oriented person, but I've always tried to organize teams or set up processes to catch mistakes, gaps, etc. Personally, I've been doing a lot of experiment projects where I barely touch the code. And it's amazing what Claude Code, Cursor, Gemini CLI, and what their capabilities are. But I'm working on one video experiment project where I purposely tried not to look at the code. I had to actually open it up one file once, a Swift UI file, because even in Ralph Wiggum mode, it just wouldn't fix a header. It just kept putting that header in the middle of the screen. It was super annoying. But anyway, what I want to talk more about overall general problem we're seeing is that how these tools allow us to do things very fast, deal with a lot of complex data, but we are just making problems for the future. Future Jason needs to deal with this. So I've been working on some movie projects, some fun side projects with different people. I dug out some of my old screenplays, and what I'm seeing is that these tools really miss subtlety and nuance, and you especially get that with language. You get really amazing categorization and organization of all your data, but until you really dig deeply and go through to really get a fine-tuned understanding, it's just really, you can see it's not working properly. So it's very easy to quickly accomplish things, but they're at this like 80% mark, and they're kind of stuck there. And as we all know, the last 10% is 90% of the actual work. You know, there's a lot of stories coming out right now about Claude Code, or I guess they're calling it Claude Coworker now, is being used to organize receipts or organize documents. But that's like a first pass. And is anyone ever going to go back and really review the work? I think we're stuck in this loop of who's actually going to do the work. It's just so easy to set up a million agents and have them do things, and they're producing incredible apps and organizing stuff. They're organizing the data and finding relationships that we wouldn't normally find. But they're also just kind of like the person that quickly skimmed the work and never really double checked anything. They're like that person that would always, on your team, that would check in faulty code or never look over the financials too heavily. And I'm sure that's why we're seeing some of these large scale system outages, wink, wink, like Amazon, Cloudflare. But how are we going to restructure these checks and balances? Now, I'm not here to talk about these latest acquisitions because, again, this is a slow take, but we're seeing Cursor and similar groups buying up these code validation ticketing systems and companies to work into their pipeline. So obviously, they're seeing, how do we build out these validation systems? You know, from a technical perspective, one of the big problems has always been like unit tests. And what do these unit tests actually accomplish? They're really great for data validation, but in UI world, they can sometimes just allow team members to check in code that doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. It just passes the unit test and they can cross it off their ticket, look like a high performer on a team. Well, I think now we're seeing this in all sectors and different industries. Who's going to take responsibility for what AI is producing? As I mentioned, I'm not a detail person, but I'm already find myself falling into the trap of I'm producing code or content or writing that I've used AI to assist me, and then I need to block out time and say, no AI. I have to do this by hand. I need to look over everything and double check everything. There's going to be a lot of work for future agents or future insert your name here.